Hey guys, what's up? Welcome. I am Stacy Perez and I am here to give you your player profiler fantasy forecast. Today we're going to be talking about some rookies from the NFL draft who had great landing spots and who I anticipate having the most fantasy relevant impact for you for this season outside of your dynasty formats. We are talking redraft today. Let's get into it. First and foremost, Raiders running back Ashton Jeanty. No hot takes here, right? He is set up to be and have the biggest fantasy impact, I think, out of all these rookies, in my opinion. Really, total difference a year can make, right? Look at the Raiders last year. We had Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. It really wasn't looking great for them. But now we've got Pete Carroll. He's back. He's excited about running the ball. We know he loves to do that. Plus, that depth chart looking a little bit shallow. You've got Raheem Mostert's the new addition in town. Also, you've got, Zamir White. You've got Dylan Lobby back there. So there's really not much competition for Ashton Jeanty. And honestly, not that it would really make a difference, right? Add that in with his dual threat ability. He had 862 yards over 3 seasons over at Boise State. He is going in the very, 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 very early rounds of drafts. I will be shocked if he falls out of the first round. And if he does, you need to grab him and get that value. Second running back that I've got for you, again, no surprise here, is going to be Chargers running back Omarion Hampton. The Chargers under Jim Harbaugh called running plays 45.5% of the time, which is in the top 10 in the league. And Hampton is one of the most electric runners in this year's draft. Plus, we've got departure of two of their rushers from last season. We've got Gus Edwards. They did just tag J.K. Dobbins. Not really concerned about that. But look, the field is wide open for Hampton to compete for enough production with Najee Harris to be fantasy relevant this year. I'm not at all about to compare their talent to Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Um, you know, eh, but that's kind of what I think of, right? That first year that Jahmyr Gibbs was out, we all drafted him really high, but at the end of the season, their production, between him and Monty was pretty close to the same. Now, obviously, since then, Gibbs has completely taken over. So, what I'm kind of expecting this year to happen with Hampton and Najee is for us to be maybe a little bit more equal, and then in the following years, Hampton to really take off. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's going in first rounds alongside Jeanty in next year's drafts. But this year, I think he definitely has a fantasy impact. I just expect it to skyrocket a little bit more after next year. Don't forget, Najee is only on a 1-year deal with the Chargers. Now, we're going to stay in LA. Almost said San Diego. That's not right. They don't play there anymore. But I'm going to talk about Tre Harris, wide receiver for the Chargers now. I put him on this list because of the need that they have at that position for the Chargers. Beyond Ladd McConkey, Herbert really doesn't have many consistent options to throw to. And over the last 3 seasons in college, Tre Harris, don't forget, he had 2 at Ole Miss, 1 at Louisiana Tech. He topped over 900 yards each of those seasons, had the 8th highest reception percentage, 78.9% in his class this year. Just a wide receiver that I'm really excited about going into our drafts in redraft. Now, we've got another wide receiver. This is going to come to no surprise. Jacksonville wide receiver Travis Hunter. I mean, come on, this goes without saying. But, a team just doesn't trade away the entire farm to get a guy and then not make him a central part of that offense, right? And they've already said that he's primarily going to be playing on offense. Beyond BTJ, their wide receiver room isn't really looking all that exciting. You've got the Dyami Brown signing. Okay, that's not really, making you excited about drafts come August. But you know who is going to be Travis Hunter, right? So with the addition of him, this offense immediately becomes one that I am watching on Sundays, right? Another wide receiver for you from my Green Bay Packers, Matthew Golden. There's a lot to like here, and I know this got some mixed reviews, on draft night. He's got a 61% contested catch rate, which is a stat that I absolutely love because it means guys are willing to go up and grab a ball. And most of the time, if they've got a higher contested catch rate stat, they are coming down with it, right? And that's what you want out of your receivers, especially your guys who are going to be stretching the field like they're going to expect Matthew Golden to do. Christian Watson going to be missing some time with that knee injury. We don't really have a guy on the Packers who can get down the field as fast as Golden. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that. Now, I'm sure that's why he was such an attractive choice, especially after his combine performance. Don't forget, he had 102 receiving yards over his last 4 games in college, including those playoffs. I mean, this wide receiver room is going to be a complete nightmare in redraft, right? I think we all kind of recognize that. There's some other teams that fall into that category, but for the Packers, best ball is probably your safer bet for Matthew Golden, but I do think that he is going to have a fantasy impact for you in that format. Wide receiver from Carolina, Tet McMillan. This guy is a huge red zone target. He is 6'5". This offense started showing signs of life towards the end of the season under QB whisperer Dave Canales. McMillan caught over 1,000 yards in his last 2 seasons of college. I am expecting him to be the most productive wide receiver on the Panthers by the end of the season. And I think he is a huge, huge asset for Bryce Young and his continued development there in Carolina. We've got a tight end for you, Chicago tight end, Colston Loveland. And I know what you're saying, right? This is a packed offensive room now with the additions that they've made during the draft. But hey, look, the Bears used 12 personnel at a high rate last season, and they weren't doing it with guys as talented as Loveland, okay? There's a new coach in town, Ben Johnson, back in Detroit. He was calling 2 tight end sets between 42-49% of snaps in 2024. I think there's potential for a tight end as polished as Loveland to come in and have a huge fantasy role this year in this offense. Don't be afraid to take him. Look, is everybody going to have the tight end rookie year that Brock Bowers did, that Sam Laporta did? No, they're not. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to be fantasy relevant. And he is one of the few tight end at the rookie position who I think is really going to have that kind of relevance for you this year in your fantasy drafts. Now, going to do some running backs. First up, we've got Cleveland, Quinshon Judkins. That depth chart is looking pretty rough there in Cleveland. Don't forget, Nick Chubb reached free agency. He has not been signed by the Browns or by anybody at this point. Judkins has Jerome Ford behind him, barely managed 500 yards last season. You've got fellow rookie Dylan Sampson there, as well as Pierre Strong. I think this situation is ripe for Judkins to be able to come in and take control, take the lion's share of those rushes there in Cleveland. He just gives them a really powerful back, and I just think it's an opportunity for Cleveland to kind of really remake their run game at this point this season, especially without knowing what their quarterback situation is really going to look like. And they've got 5 quarterbacks in the room, right? So another running back that I'm really excited about this year, that's going to be UCF's RJ Harvey going to Denver. I mean, he's just another guy that landed in the right situation, right? Denver running back room, it's kind of become shallow in the wake of that departure with Javonte Williams going to Dallas. Currently, there's Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, Tyler Batty is still there coming off that really horrific injury last year. Between McLaughlin and Estime, those guys together barely managed 800 yards last season. Harvey is a guy that's been consistently producing at a really high level, both as a rusher and in that passing game. So going for over 700 yards in his last 3 seasons, he's been comped to guys like Alvin Kamara. Who did Alvin Kamara used to play for? Sean Payton. So I think that's a really great connection there. If he is anything like Alvin Kamara, Sean Payton's going to know exactly how to use him and get the most out of him. Now, I'm going to give you guys an honorable mention real quick here as we wrap up our fantasy forecast for today. That's going to be Pittsburgh running back Kaleb Johnson. And you're probably saying, hey, wait a minute. Najee's gone. There's only Jaylen Warren there. Why is Kaleb Johnson an honorable mention? You know why. It's Arthur Smith. It's Cordarrelle Patterson. It's Kenny Gainwell still back there. And the fact that Arthur Smith loves to drive us fantasy managers insane by using guys, in unexpected situations, not using guys consistently. So that for me makes him a little bit of an honorable mention this year. Very excited about this player. I think this is a good landing spot for him. I think he is going to get use. I'm just not sure that in comparison to the other guys that we've listed today, that he will be quite as fantasy relevant in this season in redraft formats. So guys, that is going to do it for our fantasy forecast for today. Thank you so much for hanging out. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Here at Player Profiler, we have got so much good, great draft information for you to get you ready for your dynasty drafts, for your redraft drafts, anything that you've got going on, you can find here at Player Profiler. And not to mention, we have got the Fast Draft app. If you haven't downloaded that already and are drafting, what are you doing? Make sure to use my code STACY, STACY. That's going to get you some credits there on Fast Draft. It's a great way if you don't have a lot of time, maybe during your lunch break, just hop on, scratch that draft fit itch, and then go about your day. Guys, again, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. We will be back next time with some great info for you. We're going to be talking about undrafted free agent gems and how you're going to want to incorporate them into your draft strategy. So until then, see you later. Have a great weekend, guys.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.